Good morning, students. I hope you guys are having a good day. Happy Thursday. I wanted to talk to you about diagrams. So the story that you read this week in your reading book or the reading pages that I sent is Happy Falls. And that story is a fantasy. Do you remember what makes a fantasy a fantasy? That's right. It means it is a story that could not happen in real life. Okay? So the story that you're going to read today on the reading pages that I sent you is an expository story. Now remember, an expository story has information that is true. So it is a non-fiction story because it is true. Now, we've been going over a lot of things when reading expository. We went over captions. And if you remember, captions are the words underneath a picture or around a picture that tell you what the picture is about. We've also gone over bolded words. Those are words that are darker than the other words because the author wants you to know that those words are very important, okay? This week in your story that you're going to read, you're going to be learning about diagrams. Diagrams are kind of sort of close to captions, but they're not the same. Caption will tell you a whole sentence or a phrase about something, whereas a diagram labels parts of an object. So I want you to look here. Look at this wagon, okay? You have a nice pretty picture of a red wagon. Now you've got words all around it. These words, they're not captions because if you look closely, these words are all pointing to something. That is what we call a diagram. And a diagram is a drawing that explains something, and diagrams usually have labels. We've made some diagrams in our science copybook before, okay? So now if you look at this diagram, you see here, this is pointing to this part right here. So what does it say this part is? It's the handle. Now here, follow the arrow. This points to the wagon bed. Okay, that means this part on the inside, that's what we call that, the wagon bed. And this part here points to this, but do you think this is the same as this? What about this? So yeah, if they look the same, then these, 1, 2, 3, and the one you can't see over here, 4 are the wheels. Okay, so now you should also have a copy of this and what I sent you guys. Okay, so now let's look at this. What is this? This is a bicycle. Do you think we could label some of these together? All right, if you have yours printed out, go ahead and get it, and we will work together to get this part labeled, okay? So if you don't have it, I'll pause this video and then go get it and get a pencil and we can label this together, okay? So I'm gonna start. So I'm gonna draw an arrow right here. What would you say this is? And that? We would call those the wheel, okay? How about this part right here? I'm gonna draw a circle around it, and I'm gonna draw another arrow. What would we call those on a bicycle? We would call those the handlebar. Okay, now let's look else. What would we call these things right here? We would call those the petals. Not petals like a flowers, but pedals. There's a D in that word. Do you see that? Okay. And what do we call that part that you sit on? We call it the seat. Okay. So now, hopefully you have that labeled with us. Okay. So now we're going to also label this one together. Okay. This is the parts of a flower that we've actually done in science way back in like September, okay? So we have all these words: pollen, flower, roots, leaf, stem, soil, and petal. What do you think this part is? We're gonna label it. This is a diagram. This part right here, I would say that is a petal. So I'm gonna write the word petal. And no, you guys don't have the sheet. If your parents want me to send you the sheet so you can practice diagram, I can do that. They just have to send me an email, okay? All right, so now I've used the word petal. How about this? The little spots on the flower that the bees get. You remember we talked about bees getting this for free food when we talked in science? Okay, this would be bee pollen. Okay, now, this is pointing to this, but we're going to take it as the whole thing. What do we call this whole thing right here? We call it the flower. Now, you could interchange this one and this one, depending on how you look at it, okay? So this one could be flower and this one could be petal, so it really doesn't matter. So we've used flower. All right, what about this thing right here? What is this pointing to? We have roots, leaf, stem, and soil left. That would be the leaf. We know a flower should have a leaf on it. Good. And how about this one? Right here, what is this long thing? Remember, it's the thing that holds up the flower. Could you tell me what that is? That is the stem. Good job. All right, we have 2 words left. We have roots and we have soil. All right, so what is this right here? The part where it's the dirt that holds up the roots, holds up the stem. It is the soil. All plants must have soil to live. Good. And then last but not least, look at what it's pointing to. These little squiggly things that come down into the ground that keeps the flower there. Those are the roots. Good job. Okay, now today you're going to complete a page in your practice book that's going to talk to you about diagramming. It is going to be page 248. There will be a picture of a fire truck, and you have to look at it and label the different parts. It'll give you the words in your practice book, okay? All right, well, I'm going to sign off for today. That is our little lesson on diagramming. Now read the story of seasons that starts on page 118 and goes to page 123 and see if you can find any diagrams in that page, okay? And then when you read your textbooks for science and social studies, see if you can also find some diagrams. Also be on the lookout for captions that we've talked about, and be on the lookout for the words that are bold, meaning they're darker, maybe they're highlighted, words that the author wants you to know that are important, okay? All right, well, you guys have a great day. All right, see you later.